everyone. This is Ashley Tucker for My Favorite Things. Today I have a card to share with you using some of the stamps from the Dog Squad stamp set. I picked out 3 of the little dog images from the set and I popped them into my MISTI tool and I stamped them on Neenah Classic Crest Silver White cardstock with a Copic friendly black ink. I started out the coloring with this cute little chihuahua. Now, when I started coloring this, in my head, I thought that I was just going to have the color on top of the head and on top of the body, and it was going to fade out to white on both. But as I was coloring it, I realized that the face kind of looked a little weird like that, so I ended up coloring the whole thing in, and then I did the fade on just the body. And I think that that looked a lot better. Sometimes when we're coloring, we have one plan in mind when we start, and as we're doing it, we realize that it is going to look a lot better another way. And the great thing about Copics is usually you can make those changes. When it comes to coloring in dogs and cats, I find that sometimes it can be a little bit difficult to come up with the color combinations to use and where to put those colors because dogs and cats can look so many different ways. There are so many different color variations that you could do with them. Like, not all Chihuahuas look exactly alike. So sometimes it can be very difficult to try and come up with the way that you want to color in your specific Chihuahua. I find that the easiest way to do this when you're having trouble is to Google the breed and look for one that you kind of like and then try to copy that coloring. This, of course, doesn't always work out perfectly because in this case I did Google a Chihuahua and I found one that I liked and it did have the coloring that I originally tried, but when I was trying to color it in, I couldn't get it to look exactly right because of a number of reasons. I don't have a ton of Copic markers, so I probably didn't have the markers that I needed for that specific coloring. So I switched gears and made it work with what I had. Another method that I like to use with coloring in dogs and cats is to use actual dogs and cats in my life. For example, if I'm making a card for somebody that has a Chihuahua, I might try to make the Chihuahua on the card look like their Chihuahua. My brother has a Chihuahua mix. He's kind of a funny looking Chihuahua. So if I were to give a card like this to my brother, I would try to make the Chihuahua look like his dog. And then, of course, my final tip for coloring in pets is don't worry too much about it. It doesn't have to be perfect. If it doesn't look exactly like a real dog, that's okay. It's a cartoon dog and it's on a card and it doesn't have to be perfect. Whoever gets the card from you is still going to love it. When I was in the early stages of planning this card, I was actually going to color the poodle in purple because I thought that that would be really fun and it would make a really cute card for a little girl. Anyways, once I finished the coloring, I cut those images out with the coordinating dies, and then I moved on to creating this background. To make this background, I grabbed a dark blue piece of cardstock, and then I picked out all of these smaller stamps from the Dog Squad stamp set, and I put them on acrylic blocks. Using acrylic blocks with small stamps like this makes creating a patterned background so much quicker, so I highly recommend using that instead of a MISTI tool. The ink that I'm using for this stamping is a really dark blue ink so that I get this tone-on-tone look. Here you can see that I took the paw prints stamp and I'm just inking up one of the paw prints so that I can fill in any spaces that are left over. Once I was happy with this background, I did cut it down to 3 1/4 by 4 1/2 inches. I created an A2 size card base and I glued a lighter piece of blue cardstock on the front of it, and then I popped up my pattern piece on top of that. Now, when I was editing the pictures for this card, I realized that I use this color combination on a lot of my cards, the blue on blue look. I don't know what it is, I'm just drawn to it. I really love this color combination. And when you love something, you use it. It's like the same thing with rainbows. I love rainbows, I love color, so I use them. Anyway, while I was chatting there, you saw I stamped a sentiment for this card. The sentiment that I grabbed is from the Bitty Hugs and Kisses stamp set, and it says, "Sending you love." I stamped that with VersaFine Onyx Black ink, and I cut it down into a strip. I then popped up with foam tape all 3 of the dogs as well as that sentiment, and then I used a white gel pen to add a dashed line around the darker cardstock's border, and then I also added some highlights to the 3 dogs. For the embellishments on this card, I went with these enamel heart stickers. I grabbed a couple of blue ones and 1 white one. I like to do things in 3s usually, so I grabbed 3 of them and I situated them around the sentiment. With that, this card is all done, and I just love the way that it came out. It's kind of a simple card, but I think that any dog lover would really like receiving this one. Thank you so much for joining me today. I hope you enjoyed today's video and that it gave you some ideas. I hope you have a wonderful day today, and I'll see you next time.